Hey, this is Seth from the Red Eye Garage. Today's video is sponsored by Adams Driveshafts. If you've been following me for any length of time, you know I do a lot of engine and drivetrain swaps. That's kind of my thing. And one of the problems with that is you're changing the distance between the differentials and the transmission or transfer case outputs. One of the challenges that creates is your original drive shafts will no longer work. So that means you either need to cut and lengthen or shorten your drive shaft depending on the new dimensions. And if you follow me, you also know I'm really cheap and a big fan of DIY, but there's a few things that just aren't worth skimping on. Drive shafts are one of those things. So I'm guessing you get the idea of where I'm going with this. I have two long skinny boxes here. This video is sponsored by Adams Driveshaft. So in these boxes are new drive shafts for the new project. So for this build, I'm using a Willys frame. I spliced two frames together, lengthening the wheelbase. I also added a 4-speed and a Chevy 6-cylinder, so everything changed and the stock drive shafts no longer fit. This is sort of an age-old problem of doing 4-speed swaps in your Willys, or a lot of the things that we commonly do in the Jeep community. The rear drive shaft is now too long and the front drive shaft is too short. So I reached out to Adams and I told him what I was building and the dimensions and things that I would need, and asked for their opinion on a few things. And they quickly got back to me with some great answers. And one of their specialties is not just making drive shafts, but it's solving some problems that may arise, whether it's getting around a skid plate or maintaining the proper angles. With our short wheelbase Jeeps, as you know, vibration becomes a problem. When you lift a Jeep or you move the drive shaft or the rear differential, your pinion angles, all that stuff. And they're really good at communicating with you and getting you the parts that you actually need. On this specific build, the rear drive shaft was pretty basic, but up front, I'm running an SM420 4-speed, which has the reverse idler bulge on the one side. So I had to run a specific diameter drive shaft to be able to clear the transmission. And Adams has specialists that will tell you what RPM this length and diameter can handle. There's a whole host of engineering issues when you start dealing with drive lines. They're going to get it right the first time and really help you work through whatever challenges your specific build has. Well, that's enough yapping. Let's unbox these and take a look at these custom drive shafts from Adams. The first thing I noticed when I opened the box was just the packaging itself. It's packaged really well, has a nice box, got their QR code and links on there. It says Dana in the bottom of the box, so you know it's they're using good quality parts. And it's just packaged really well. So aside from being run over by the UPS truck, you know your drive shaft's going to arrive in one piece and not bent. A normal person would probably think we're weird for getting excited about a drive shaft, but man, this thing's pretty. It's got their nice logo on the front, and it has a little customized tag with my name, my Instagram page, and a little artwork on there. So very nice. First impression, this thing looks legit and beefy. So whether you need a custom length for your custom project, or you just have a junky old drive shaft that's beat up and worn out and you want a new one, Adams will have what you need. No Red Eye Garage video is complete without a chair chat. So let's talk about drive shafts a little bit. This is the rear. I just unboxed it as well. It comes with a nice gloss black finish. They have the U-joints taped so that keeps the paint from being on the cap, but also keeps the caps from popping off and needle bearings going everywhere. The end of the cap says Spicer. These are the non-serviceable lifetime grease style Spicer joints, which are stronger than the grease type. And one less thing you have to worry about. The first thing I notice about this is it's beefy. So for the rear drive shaft, I had no special limitations for clearance or anything like that. And it's just a nice chunky drive shaft. Another thing I noticed is it has a very long reduced friction slip joint. So for suspension travel and things like that, it has a lot more travel than the stock shaft. I gave them the dimensions, the distance at rest, and then they figured it out from there. I just added my companion flange from the Willys transfer case. onto the 1310 U-joint, and this thing's ready to install. The rear shaft also has their logo on it, and it looks very nice. I wanted to take a moment to compare the stock Willys CJ2A drive shaft to the Adams drive shaft. So this is the stock spare out of one of my Jeeps. It does just fine for a stock Jeep with 60 horsepower and stock gears, but it's a little lacking when you start modifying your Jeep. But also when you change your transmission or wheelbase, you no longer can use this. Another common problem is these slip joints. See how short that is? Much less room for compression and expansion. But also, let's just put the micrometer on the slip joint. So the diameter of the splines, which is probably the weakest spot, is 1 inch on the stock drive shaft. It's right around 1 3/8 inches. So it's a big difference in the diameter. The tube diameter is also thicker. You'll notice it's shorter, and that's because that's a custom length for the build I have going. So it's just a bigger, beefier shaft. You'll also notice the slip yoke length like we talked about. So a lot more room. So when I'm running it, it's going to be about right there. So you have a lot more spline engagement with a larger, beefier spline. This is the stock front drive shaft from a Willys Jeep. It was just a spare I had here for this project, and this is the Adams drive shaft. So you can see I lengthened it quite a bit, and that's because I changed to a 6-cylinder and a 4-speed. It's also much beefier in the tube diameter, and it also has that much heavier 1 3/8 spline, but it still has the Spicer 1310 U-joints, so it's a direct bolt-in replacement. When you get your drive shaft, you'll notice it has some little washers and weights tacked onto it. That's because it's balanced, which is something that the DIY person would not have. So if you're from the Willys world, you know all about driveline vibrations. A lot of you are cheap like me, and you try to get away with making your own drive shaft, which doesn't always end well. So as I've said about 4 times already, I'm pretty cheap, and I like to do everything myself. But this is one area of this build I didn't want to skimp on, so I went with Adams. I know I won't be disappointed. This is going to be a smooth running, strong drive shaft for many, many years. For the level of service and the custom work that you're getting, I was really impressed with the affordability of their drive shafts. So if you're working on your project right now, you're getting ready to do an engine swap, reach out to them, tell them what you're working on. You'll find their products are extremely affordable, they're well made, and it'll get you on the trail running smooth in no time. So a huge shout out to Adams for putting out this good product. Really excited to get them installed, so make sure you follow along. In a future video, we're going to install these. I'll show you how they look and fit, and then hopefully we'll have them spinning, pushing this Jeep down the trail in no time. Check out the link in the description. It'll take you to the Adams Driveshaft website. Give them a call or email. Check out their products. Spring's coming, so get your Jeeps done. Look forward to the next video, and as always, thanks for watching.